Hey everybody, welcome back to Absolutely Marvel in DC. I'm Dylan, that's Dan, and today we're going to be talking about the previous two episodes of Superman and Lois, so I think that's episodes 6 and 7 of season 1.
I believe so.
Something like that. But, I don't know, I don't want to speak for you, Dan, but we spoke a little bit before I started my little intro there. This show's, like, pretty good now.
Yeah, this show went from, oh God, what am I going to get myself into, to, okay, I'm actually curious where this is going to go, and there's not any characters that I truly am like, oh my God, I hate whenever this character is on screen. Because I feel like a lot of shows, you find yourself in that boat where there's like that one character that either you don't like the actor, they're not doing a great job, or you don't like the character, but this one, honestly, it's grabbing me, dude. I was not expecting to enjoy Superman and Lois as much as I am, especially after this latest episode.
So let's because we skipped the last week's episode. Let's roll back to that one a little bit, because I was excited to talk about that one, because that was the first one in, like, probably since the start of the show that I've been like, oh, so this show, like, it can be good and is like actually something interesting.
Right.
So that episode basically, the plot kind of revolves around the Smallville football team going to fight the Metropolis football team, which doesn't really make any sense, but whatever.
Yeah.
And
that's just one of those weird ones where it's like, wait, why would they be in the same league?
Yeah, it's a little contrived. It's high school football, not like college or the NFL or anything. But the whole episode is like framed around that, with the sort of through line that Jordan is starting to come to terms with his powers and is still like losing control of them a little. Which culminates in the main thing I want to talk about from this episode, which I think is like a perfect summation of what the show should be, is when Jordan is on the football field, he's getting dunked on by his bullies from Metropolis. He kind of loses control and starts screaming, and his dad comes over, who's Superman, if you haven't watched the show, and is like, Dad, I'm going to laser this entire football field. And his dad's like, let it out, buddy. And he puts his hands under his eyes, and Jordan just like lasers into him. And that's like, I think, the epitome of, like, Jordan basically crying in the most like Superman-y way possible into his dad's hands is like the perfect, like, you know, I don't know. It's just such a good moment that sums up what this show can and should be.
Yeah, no, that scene was definitely the one that left most impact from that episode, for sure, because like there was just so much emotion in it, as well as like it's showing like the very humanistic side of having powers, of the emotions going wild, of people doing this kind of thing, and when you just get so overwhelmed with like anger at the situation that like you just can't hold it in. And the fact that part though, when like Superman puts his hand there so that he can just unleash, and you can tell that Superman's like feeling it, like it's not just like a tickle or something to him. It was a good, I liked it for both it's showing him with his powers not being able to control and stuff like that, but it's a nice way of seeing Clark as a father to a super son, essentially. And it was just one of those moments that was just very like, he's a good dad. Yeah, like because it's not only that Superman has this kid and he's protecting everyone like he would for anyone from like dangerous laser eyes, but also like in that moment, you know, their tenuous relationship between Jordan finding out he has powers and not really wanting them, and Superman fight, because I think he just specifically says, just let it out, like you would to a kid who's pent up and is about to have like a panic attack, which is what Jordan was having. That's just such like
And I'm really happy. I'm proud of this show for not later being like, man, you had like a super panic attack or something, like hammering home like the oh, this kid has anxiety. Ooh,
right.
They were a lot more like honest and real about it, which I super appreciated. No pun intended there.
One thing I actually really liked about that episode, and kind of the show in general, is that they're making a lot of good parallels between Jordan having powers and Clark having powers, and how he's still struggling with stuff like this. Because right before that happened was, I believe, they tried to shoot Tag, and like one of the military guys shoots him with kryptonite bullets. I think that was
after. I was going to mention that. That's towards the end.
Is it towards the end that happens? All I know is that, actually, you're right. That happens before he almost punches the guy from Metropolis.
Yes.
Because it was the parallel of Superman still gets to moments where you can see the anger and the control that is needed, as well as like the how close it looked like he almost got to, who knows, like there was just a moment where you're like, oh God, I feel really bad for that soldier right now, because I don't know what's going to happen, and that's definitely going to cause him to need a new pair of pants. But
it's all, like, talking about editing too with that specific moment, like a few episodes ago we were trashing this show for its editing, and like that moment could have been butchered in editing if they, because obviously they weren't shooting one scene, running over to the other set, shooting the other scene, and then like literally cutting it together on a film strip. Like they could have edited those scenes not interspersed, but they did, and I think that was a really smart decision, because it's the showing basically side by side the reaction of bullies, or just like the other, like the stand-in for an enemy, and showing Clark, has his powers under control, like being restrained, and Jordan, almost he would have killed that kid if he punched him in the head.
Oh yeah,
he broke Jordan's hand, or Jonathan's hand, in like a million pieces, so that kid would have been gone.
Yeah, that. Is it bad that a small part of me was like, yeah, punch him in the face. Just do it. Just do it, Jonathan.
Justice.
No, I really liked that. And I feel like, sorry, I get the names backwards, because Jordan's the one with powers. Jonathan's Jonathan's the
It's confusing for
one.
Comic book readers, because Jonathan is the son of Superman.
Exactly. I don't know about you, but when he grabbed his fist, I thought that was potentially the first into showing Jonathan's going to be getting his powers emerging, maybe in a different way, but soon, because his hand broke, but he still has his hand. He was able to stop his fist. Exactly. Like, but because if you think about it, it's like, yes, you can put your hand there, but someone moving that fast, it's just going to blow right through your hand and punch him in the face regardless, except there's going to be two hands hitting him in the face now. But so I liked that, because it was kind of like a subtle way of going, no, something's going to happen with Jonathan. Like, clearly he's going to have powers sometime soon. Hopefully. Maybe not at the same extent. But
I feel like they're dropping enough into training Jordan at this point, that, because I mean, I was pretty adamant early on that they were both going to get powers, but we're like halfway through this season now, and I feel like Jonathan getting powers might be a season 2 thing, or
I think
never.
I think it's either going to be a season 2 thing, or it's going to be like, in the finale, something happens to Jordan, something happens to Clark, and the emotions take over. He gets his powers, and so they establish it at the end of the season. He's got powers to essentially go. Season 2, we're going to look into two sons having powers and like competing over that.
Super sons.
Because you know that once they start both having powers, they're going to start comparing whose powers are stronger.
100%.
Like,
yeah. Which also, I want to mentioning like their Jonathan and Jordan's relationship. I feel like this episode, and episode 7, which we'll talk about in a minute, like really cemented their relationship. Like the writers have finally kind of figured it out, because early on they weren't sure if they wanted them to be antagonistic toward each other, or just like a more realistic, like brotherly, like they love each other, but obviously they're gonna get in fights because A, they're teenagers, and B, they're brothers, and C, their dad is Superman. But I think that's kind of where they settled on now, is like they don't really fight at all in this episode. In the next episode they do, but it's like it's very clear like why both of them would be angry at each other. And it's kind of resolved very quickly, which I appreciated, and I'm very glad, because I'm tired of that trope of like the brother bullies the younger one, or not, I think they're the same age, but you know what I mean. Like that's the trope that they're going for, or that they were going for like an episode or two.
No, I agree. I like how they make it natural feeling. Like it doesn't feel like they just shut down the conflicts between them for like no real reason. Right. Like they actually make it like they have a good relationship when it really comes down to the core.
Right. Because it's like the reason, and I fully expected them to do this, which is good because I'm giving the writers credit now, which is not something I thought I would be doing with this show. But so basically, like the fight that I was referring to, we'll move on to the next episode now. Jordan has been like struggling with his powers and having like more and more like attacks, basically, where in this episode he is getting his super hearing, so it's like hurting him a lot, and they have a fight because Jordan was spying on Jonathan, and this teenage drama. Jonathan was hitting on Jordan's girl.
Right.
Even though I don't think he was. He's just being a nice person.
It was the classic, hey, we're going to cut into just this part of the conversation and remove the part that explains that there's no actual like romantic interest here.
Exactly.
To confuse them, but
so Jordan's mad at Jonathan for doing that. Jonathan's mad at Jordan for spying on him. And then they kind of piss off and go their separate ways. But then Jordan has like a hearing attack, and Jonathan immediately comes down and is like, "Oh, are you okay?" and takes care of him. Which is like, yeah, like like who cares if you're like pissed at your brother for spying on you? He's in a lot of pain, so you go and help him.
Yeah.
That's what
Yet
you do.
at the same time, right before that was also a very brotherly thing of being in an argument, seeing that he's like feeling the pain of it, and then slamming the wall to make it even worse. I was like, okay, that's a true brotherly thing to do. Like whenever I would see my brother with a bruise, I would always go, "Hey, where's your bruise? Is it right?" And you just like jab on the bruise, and you're like, ah. Anyway,
just brothers being brothers.
So the name of the episode, this one was Man of Steel. And it's very clear because of the stuff with Luthor, the guy from the alternate universe. But I'm not sure if you saw the parallels that I actually thought that this was the reason why it was named Man of Steel, was in Man of Steel, the movie. One of the scenes I always recognize, or I remember the most, is when Clark is a kid, he's at school, and he starts getting his super hearing, and he's screaming in the closet, and his mom shows up, and she's like, "Focus on my voice, like ignore everything else, focus on just my voice," kind of thing. And that was the parallel that for most of this episode, I thought that was why it was Man of Steel, was that it was making that comparison to the movie itself. Which obviously when they later go into it and certain things happen, it was very clear that it was Man of Steel for other reasons.
Yeah.
But that was just a thing about this episode that really, really, I liked, because I mean I actually really enjoyed Man of Steel. I don't know if you enjoyed that one or not.
Nope.
Nope, you did not. Okay. Well, I did. I thought it was a pretty good movie. And I liked that scene in the movie. I liked the focus on one voice thing, and it almost felt like when Clark was teaching Jordan that in this episode, in my head I was seeing him do to his son what his mother did for him in the movie. Mm-hmm. And so that I just really enjoyed that. But I'll let you tell our viewers and start the discussion on why it's actually named the Man of Steel.
You want me to drop the hammer a little?
Oh my god. Damn it, Dylan.
Okay, so this episode is called Man of Steel because Luther
oh my god.
is John Henry Irons, also known as Steel, which okay. I feel like we could have seen this coming if if they were a little more obvious about it. And you can like clearly I love this reveal because it's the perfect reveal. Like it's a reveal that's like, oh, of course. Like once you actually like see it happening, but like it's not so obvious that you're just like, okay, let's just get to the reveal. We all know what's coming.
Right, like when are they going to do it or something like that. Yeah.
Cuz like I don't know, there's so many reasons that like the CW had so much going for them with keeping this hidden, like Lex Luthor like being Superman's villain. Obviously they're going to want to use Luthor. They're not going to want to use Steel. Nobody's going to guess that. The CW like constantly doing like their Dare to Defy stuff, like race bending Luthor is something they absolutely would do.
Oh yeah,
the whole power suit.
For the longest time, I legit thought that this was a version of Luthor.
Yeah, I think everyone did, and like it never crossed my mind to just look at the Superman myth, because we even did on this very channel. We did a video on like on who is Lex Luthor. Are there any black Supermen? And we pointed to the Obama Superman and Earth 2 Superman.
Yep, Calvin Ellis.
John Henry Irons was not considered in that video, but he probably should have been. And if he did, I feel like, because I wasn't even, if that inkling had have been in my brain, which I'm sure for some of you it has, and you can tell us in the comments how smart you are, then I think I would have guessed it, because it makes a lot of sense. Like he's and they show a lot of that in this episode, to be fair, like the reasons that would make sense leading up to the reveal, like he's a builder, he likes to tinker with stuff, he's always kind of like in these like mechanical situations.
A big one for me was when the daughter showed up.
Oh yeah.
That would, when he named her, when he said Nat, I was like, why do I know that name? And why does she kind of look familiar?
Yeah, I don't know anything about Steel other than what I've saw in the Shaquille O'Neal movie. But it's I'm very glad to have this as like a plot reveal, because the previous episode 6, was getting me back into the show in terms of like, okay, it can do interesting things with its characters, and it can correctly focus on the things that need to be focused on, like the relationship between Jordan and Superman, and doing things in more subtle ways, like the reaction that Clark has versus what Jordan has to what we discussed earlier. But then this episode comes around and is like, okay, also we can make the plot super interesting.
Right.
And answer questions in ways that like don't feel contrived and only like make you more intrigued. So I'm so down with this twist.
I'm really excited to see where they go with this. I think that when they basically said that it was Steel, it was also another one where it was like, the suit makes more sense now. Like the suit just makes so much more sense of why we would have Doom running around. But I also like that. I have a feeling that he'll probably modify it now that we know it's steel and make it look a little more towards what steel looks like, or at least we'll get it maybe at the start of next season. Maybe my expectations is it'll probably go closer to the comic book version once him and Superman kind of get on the same page of, no, I'm not actually evil. On that, like in this universe, I'm not your Superman, I'm not your Kal-El. And when they get that kind of understanding, I have a feeling we'll get towards the comic book Steel costume. But that was such a good reveal. I'm still just so excited because I watched the show like right before we started recording this, and I was telling Dylan, for those of you watching, I was going into the episode like, oh my gosh, okay, let's just get this over with. Let's just do this. And I ended the episode being like, okay, when's the next episode? Don't you dare take another 4-month break between these two episodes. It's, oh my God, dude. This show's got me.
Yeah, same. This show is like got me hooked now for sure. I switched watching because usually, I think I've talked about this before, is like if I have a batch of CW shows to watch, which usually it's like Flash and something else, I've been saving Flash for last, as like a save the best for last kind of thing. I swapped them this week because I hate the Flash right now. And
I'm glad I did for very good reasons.
Yeah. But I'm super down to clown with Superman and Lois right now. The way they shot it too, the whole reveal of him with like something's coming, and then he pulls a hammer because he's like building that gauntlet, and it's interspersed with, which is it was kind of confusing when they were cutting back between his universe where he's originally building the suit and him building the Thor hand gauntlet thing.
Right.
And then the hammer comes out and he's like, "Hey bro, I'm not Lex Luthor." and I'm so glad that they like started answering our little nerdy plot hole questions like right away.
Right.
And in ways that didn't seem, like I said earlier, like they didn't seem contrived. Like because immediately my first question was like, okay, why is his suit calling him Luthor, Captain Luthor, blah blah blah. And then they answer that in the flashback where he worked for Luthor Corp. That was true. And he just stole that AI from Luthor Corp, and they just never reprogrammed it for him, which makes sense. So like I think I'm interested to see, because I feel like you pay more attention to plot sometimes than I do, and theories and such. The only question I still have about him is how he got here. Do you have any more questions other than that?
Other than that, not really.
Yeah.
Like I feel like any other questions I might have are not important enough. I feel like they would be something that once we get the additional information, it's going to be like, okay, that makes that make a little more sense, or that makes this more important. But the only real question that I'm thinking as well is the how he got over here and stuff like that. But it sounds like they're going to be answering. It sounds like they're going to be showing that scene in its entirety in the next episode during the interrogation. That's my expectation. Is we're going to get a better idea of what happened in his universe. We're going to find out like how he got here, how he has the things that he has, stuff like why he thinks things are going to go in the direction that they are going to go. And I have a feeling that's going to be this next episode. I don't know if or when we're going to see him reveal to Lois that he was married to Lois in another universe. Or if it's going to be they bring his daughter to this universe, she sees her and she's like, "Mom," and Lois is like, "What?" But that's how I expect her to do it in the show as well. She just, Lois saying, "What? What you talking about?"
I think his daughter is dead by Superman's
Really?
hands.
You think so?
Yeah, I think they're not going to leave him alone. Because Superman in that universe already killed his wife, so why not his daughter?
Well, because
I feel like...
Did I miss it? I thought she was left, like she was still in
The other universe?
Actually, you know what it's gonna be. We're gonna get the scene of him coming into our universe, and it's gonna be the classic. As he's going through, he looks back and he sees Superman destroy the bunker, or something like that.
Because that is another question. It kind of ties into how he got here. It's like, why? Like, what's his actual motive? Because he wants to kill Superman, but we don't really know to what end, other than revenge. But like, does that mean that he just left his daughter on another universe to go kill a Superman that was alone because he thought that would be easier? Which, like, I feel like his world is gone. Like, it has to be scorched at this point. And he's just so pissed off, and there's nothing to return to. So we might as well kill the Superman of this Earth. I feel like that's where they're going with it. But if they're not, I don't know. Maybe there's something else. Who's to say?
Who's to say? I'm very curious. I'm curious as to what's really going on his Earth with Superman. Because I can't think of what storyline that could be. I don't know if it's like a CW
Invincible.
Original. I mean, pretty much. Let's be honest, it pretty much is. No, because originally my thought was, it's Crime Syndicate. Like he came from the Earth where it's actually Ultraman and not Superman or something like that. But then when they showed the other ones, my thought was, I'm pretty sure this is the scene when it's the Superman versus Zod and his generals in like that old 80s Superman movie. And it was pretty much that exact scene of like when Zod shows up with his generals and they destroy everything and then Superman shows up to stop them. But in this one, they used Superman in place of Zod. So I'm curious. Because with shows like this, we all know that there are comparisons, that they grab some of the plots from stories in the comic books, that they grab stuff like that, but then that they also create their own stuff. And every time they do a flashback to that other universe, I keep trying to figure out what it's from so I can figure out what is going on over there. I think we'll find out soon. I hope we'll find out soon. But yeah, I'm really curious about his universe.
I'm pretty like I think the show is in my good graces now, and I hope they don't let us down because the show's been hit or miss for so long that I hope 2 episodes in a row being really good and one being just as good, if not better than the previous one, is showing that they kind of know what they're doing now. Like these episodes don't really have any problem, like the major problems that we've had so far. Like the editing has been solid. They've been focusing on what they know works. Like there's no like weird side stories like that one episode where there was like 18 different things happening.
Right.
They're like zeroing in on what matters. And it's focused now, and I hope they don't lose sight of that, because they have a very clear like everything is starting to make sense. Lois and Superman both have like a common enemy now, like we said they were going to. It's good stuff, and I'm down. I'm along for the ride with this show now.
And I'm also really glad that they're cutting out the bullshit of, we're not going to do this full season long, we're hiding things from you, we're not going to tell you the truth. But they're just like, all right, ask your questions, we'll answer anything.
You got us.
All right, AMA with Lois and Superman.
Which
like,
is,
I'm glad that they...
for.
What was that?
I'm down for that.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm just glad that they're doing that. I don't like the shows where things are constantly happening to characters that are related, but as a viewer, you're like, okay, so how are they going to lie about it this time? Like, I like that they're just cutting that out, and they're like, no, let's just do this. It's a super family. Let's have them all know what's going on and have them actually work together, instead of, oh, well, I don't want you sons getting in danger, and I'm not going to tell you why. And
oh, God.
But, so.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think Dan and I both agree that this show rocks now.
Yeah.
If you stopped watching it, I hope we convince you to give it another chance. but we are not held responsible if the show gets horrible again. As is CW tradition, it very well could. But I hope not. So yeah, thanks for watching Absolutely Marvel in DC. Stay tuned next week, I think. Is there an episode next week?
I hope so.
Okay.
I don't know in front of me right now, but I really hope so, because I hate when shows go on hiatus and then I lose track of what's going on.
True. Well, if there isn't one next week, then we'll be back whenever the next episode airs. Anyway, thanks for watching. See y'all next time.
See you guys.